Call the committee of the whole meeting to order. If the clerk would please take attendance.
Mr. Hupkey.
Here.
Mr. Jones.
Here.
Mr. March.
Here.
Mr. Ham.
Here.
Mr. Bowden.
Here.
Mr. Heck.
Here.
Approval of the minutes of the 6/27/2016 committee of the whole meeting. Are there any additions or corrections? If not, a motion to accept is written.
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Motion by trustee Bowden, second by trustee March.
Mr. Bowden.
Yes.
Mr. March.
Yes.
Mr. Jones.
Yes.
Mr. Hupkey.
Present.
Mr. Heck.
Yes.
And Mr. Ham.
Yes.
Public comment. No public comment at this time, so we will move to item 5. Streets Manager Hinkie, a report on the arborist class. Sure.
First of all, I took this 9-week course, one of the best courses I've ever taken. A lot of info, a lot of things to learn on safety, tree identification, disease, trimming, pruning. But what I did learn, besides those points, is kind of a lot of things I've noticed in our community. When EAB, that's Emerald Ash Borer, first came to the States, older communities like us, urban forestry, if you noticed, most of the ash streets that had ash trees are all gone, because 50 to 60 years ago, nobody thought of a variety of trees to plant. You had ash, 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 so when you got a disease or a bug, they all had to cut down. So now, over the past 30 years, they've been saying urban forestry, you want to mix it up a little bit. Everybody wants a red maple, don't get me wrong, in their yard. It's just not going to work that way, because there's always another disease out there, or a bug out there. It's just, snap of the finger, could be here. So, going forward, that's what we need to put in place is new subdivisions. We can't just have maples. Just because the homeowner wants a maple, you just can't do it. You gotta have a variety, so that when we do get a disease or a bug, you're still gonna have trees in those subdivisions, not just bare easements. Another thing I learned too is, when you buy a tree, most of the time you look at the tree and say, that's a nice tree. Well, what do you know about it? A tree needs right place, right space. You need to learn the background on a tree, what its roots do, how high it goes, how far out, how tall. That's what this book is. This is the Tree Bible. This book right here has any tree in the United States in it. It'll tell you anything you want to know about it. It'll tell you how high, how far the roots grow, how long, disease, it'll tell you disease. So another thing moving forward too, I would like to see possibly maybe come next spring is I'd like to put on a pruning tree clinic here. Because what I've noticed too, and I've been guilty of it too, is pruning. A lot of people, just because you got a branch that's out here and you snip it here, oh, that looks good. That's not the proper way. You always want to trim back that branch to another lateral, because what happens to this branch you just trimmed becomes a dead end. It dies off. That's where you get your dead branches. So I think that's the biggest thing I see.
That's a good idea.
So, yeah. Another thing moving forward too is new subdivisions. Even when I drive through, even Meyer Glen to Gull Landing, a lot of those trees never take, because what happens is the developer comes in, scrapes off that topsoil, and they put that clay layer, and they only put 4 inches of topsoil. So what happens is when you put in a new tree, when those roots start going out, they can't get through that clay. It's like hitting a brick wall. They need to spread. So what happens is they girdle. That means they just turn in a hole. They start to form like a circle. And that's what kills off the tree. It doesn't have that growth. Because a tree is designed, not even designed, it's the roots grow every year, the trunk grows out every year, and the canopy grows out every year. So that's what they're designed to do.
So what would have to be done to combat that? If
It's pretty hard because in regards to that is because I guess we would have to say the topsoil needs to be so much, you know, or because it needs that room to grow. And it's not, it's a problem everywhere. It's because they scrape, like I said, the topsoil off, it doesn't have the soil. Also, I'd like to see, hopefully, in the future, ordinance. No tree planting within 15 feet of a stop sign. That's a big, huge problem, I think, we have here. Is people popping up trees in front of a stop sign, 2 feet from a stop sign. I'd like to see 15 feet. And I would relieve that problem of visibility. So,
There's a couple spots in town where we have a major issue.
because a tree that grows, and how do you mean, technically you should remove it, then that's part of it. So, yeah. Safety-wise, Brian from, he was my instructor, he's an arborist for the village of Homewood, shared, he gave me a bunch of info that I would like to share with future employees. Change the wording around maybe a little bit. I'll pass this around. It's chipper training, so any future employees that come in would have to go through that, not only that, but that on-site training too.
Bob, did they talk about at all any solution for these huge ash trees that are on private property that are a major accident waiting to
Yes, they
happen?
did, and Mike, you brought up a good point. This is what the village of Homewood does. What they do is, they give out a citation that gives you, I believe, 30 days to remove your ash tree. If you don't remove it, then what they do is they put a lien on your property, or take it out of your taxes, however that works. The village will remove it, and then that's how they get the funds back from either your tax bill or the lien. A lot of towns don't deal with it because it becomes a headache, but that's, I know Village of Homewood, that's how they do it.
You know, we talk about health and safety and all that kind of thing. And if you drive around town slow and look around, I mean, there's some monster trees that are completely dead. And if they go down, I mean, they create $50,000, $100,000 damage to a home or a property or worse yet, hurt somebody, or kill somebody. And they're big, they're 125 feet tall and 3 foot across and nasty. I think that's something we need to have some proactive, not as opposed to wait till something nasty happens and then say, yeah, we should have. The other thing I wonder too is, I would be interested to know what the insurance companies that people have, if they knew that they had this giant pending liability, how they would pursue it. You know, it's not like it might happen, it's just a matter of when it happens.
Yeah.
And so we might want to have a legal explore that.
And we did have a legal night. The homeowner is the one that has to say it on to remove the tree or not to remove the tree. So if they called me up and said, could you come out and look at this tree in my backyard? Sure, not a problem. I could tell them what's wrong with it, but I couldn't sit there and say, you need to remove it. Because if I say you need to remove it, and they don't remove it, it falls back on me. The legality is, okay, well, Bob said, he gave me a recommendation. All I can do is give recommendations. I can't tell them to remove it or leave it. That brings me a whole different world as far as.
Who makes that decision then? You know, if the village decides to go in and take it down and leave the property?
But it wouldn't be, he's talking about in the yard.
Right, I am too.
Right, okay.
Legally, see, it's a touchy subject is what we learned.
Because if it's in the parkway, the village can just do it.
Yes, we don't, yeah. If the tree is dangerous, right now. That's another thing we learned about legal night too, was if it's 3:15 in the afternoon and I'm driving down the street and I see a hanger or a widowmaker and I ignore that, I could be charged with a felony because I ignored that. I'll be charged in the court of law. If it kills somebody, hurts somebody, all that.
Is that a private property or parkway?
Parkway. So,
And what does ComEd have to do with this?
zero. All they do is maintain the lines. There's been a lot of complaints to DPW in regards to what they do or
They
what
did
they
a
do.
horrible job this time, I'll tell you
They
that,
do.
because they did a horrible job. And also, they had made a comment to one of my neighbors that they would be back to take down one of their trees because it presents a hazard to the live wires.
Okay.
Never came back, never contacted them, with that tree in their yard.
From what we learned, they tend not to do removals. The only time they do removals is what you just said, if it's going to interfere with the lines. They are all licensed arborists. They trim by the specs in the book. It's not pretty, but to be honest with you, they're not there to make it pretty. They're there to clear the lines. I know I've had a lot of complaints in the last 2 weeks. I told the folks, it's, you can call ComEd and make a complaint, but it's part of the deal. That's just what they do. They're not there to, it's gonna have a V, it's gonna have a V. That's just part of the deal. So, I don't agree with the way they trim. I think it looks, like you said, but they're not there to make it look pretty, so.
So did they give you samples of ordinances or any guidance on how to proceed with?
No, Village of Homewood, Village of Orland Park. What we did is we went around the room and kind of shared what we do, or different ordinances that our communities have. And that's where that stop sign one came up, but I thought that was a great ordinance as far as blocking of stop signs. Any signs in general, but I mean, stop signs are main ones. So, if the board wants to come up with an ordinance, it's, you do 15 feet, it's 15 feet, it's part of the deal.
Well, I mean, I think we just need to come up with a comprehensive ordinance, because we
Okay.
really don't have
Okay.
one. I mean,
Right.
I looked at, Kevin forwarded me one from Frankfurt, and, yeah, I don't know if we have to be that comprehensive, but I mean, just, you're talking about ComEd, we should have something in there, you can only plant these trees under power lines, so that, 30 years you won't have that problem, because
Right.
the trees don't grow that tall.
And actually, I have a list in the back that I will make copies of and share with you all, even the committee meeting, approved parkway trees under power lines.
But I mean, they should, we should write something in there that,
Yep.
they have to talk to you before they can
Sure.
plant a tree, and definitely before they can take a tree down in the parkway.
Could we post that stuff on the website? So
Sure.
people can just look it up while they're going to buy a tree?
Yeah.
Like a guideline,
Yeah, like,
Trimming guidelines.
until we have a,
Tree guidelines. and-
that's the biggest thing I see, is definitely the pruning. I don't think people.
that makes sense. That makes sense. Any other questions for Bob?
Well, how do we proceed with that? Do we have Greg research that, or?
Yeah, I mean,
Because that's a big job.
No, it is, and we will definitely have.
I mean, who can come up with a draft of it? So
And
that we-
I've been making some notes.
Do you want me to reach out to my instructor and get a copy of maybe at Homewood?
Well, sure, yeah.
Oh, that would certainly help.
I'll do that,
Yeah.
I'll do that. I got his phone number and
Maybe
you can email it to me.
Greg, and
Yeah.
it'd be nice if we could,
There's no
nice to
reason
have
to
something to
reinvent
start
the wheel
with. No.
completely if somebody
Right.
has a good one.
right, like I said, Frankfurt's got a good one, so, and theirs is just on their website, so you can look at that.
The biggest thing is like variety in trees is what we need to move forward, and right place, right space. It has to have that room to grow.
How many people were in your class?
We had 9 people.
You said at the beginning you give a class on how to trim trees?
Yeah, come next. Yeah, definitely. It's really not hard. It's kind of an art. It's really an art. It's
I'm
gonna.
not good at it.
Well, I'll be honest, I wasn't good at it until I took this class, and it amazes you what can be removed to make. I mean, sometimes you look at a tree and say, "Ooh, should I remove that?" Take it out. Most of the time, you're fine.
What was the thought about parkway trees? I mean, do most communities in the newer subdivisions, are they still doing parkway trees?
That was the thing too. A lot of towns still do parkway trees, and a lot of towns have done away with parkway trees for the simple fact is visibility and your sidewalks. So that's what ruins your sidewalks in the woods. Because once it gets that growth, it starts heaving.
I know they're pretty, I know they're nice, but I mean, that's something that I've heard from several people, you know, why put trees in the parkway? Because that's why your sidewalks are buckling in a lot of different places, or.
You're absolutely.
That goes back though too to the type of tree.
It's true, you're right. It does go back to the type of tree. It goes back to the size of your easement. Like I said, you know, it's right space, right place. A lot of things. EAB. EAB came from China on a boat. If you go to China, China doesn't have an ash borer problem because the bug is native to that country. It's when it came here, they had all this food. And it started out on the East Coast and it keeps traveling. Ash after ash after ash. Once it kills this tree, it jumps to this tree. It keeps jumping and moving. There won't be an ash tree left in this country. It keeps going. And it's moving right along.
So where are we at with this year? I know when we talked about the budget, you said that, you know, we do have some money in there for planting trees, and where do we stand with that? I mean, I know now's the time not to plant a tree, but
I think come
Come
fall.
fall, what are we
Yeah,
gonna-
definitely. I believe there's 10,000 in the budget for tree planting. I think we talked about going back to the list when this all started, offering the homeowner trees, however we want to
Right.
go about doing that, and then move forward from there.
How many trees will $10,000 buy?
Yeah. I'm basing it on $100 a tree. That sounds fair, I think. You think more?
Are you having them planted, or
I would have them planted because there's only, by that time it'd be leaf season and
for a 2.5-inch tree right now, we're paying $325 planted.
325 planted.
That calculator doesn't work. so-
It's about 30. Yeah, about 30.
But I would inspect all trees that come to the village. That's another thing that you need to, make sure there's no damage on them once they're planted. That's a big thing. You want to inspect your load of trees once you get them.
Steve, the villages that are doing away with parkway trees totally, do you know, are they requiring them to have 2 in the front yard anywhere?
I don't know, but I would assume so.
Mantino, I believe, is going that route. 2 in the front yard.
I mean, I would think that would be, I mean, we talk, you know, people complain about us putting a tree in the parkway, which is our property. I mean, I think it would be even harder to say, you gotta put them in your yard.
Right.
I don't know,
I see
that's a nightmare.
what you're saying.
You know? People don't like to be told what to do in there.
Right.
Anything else?
When's the best time of year to prune a tree?
Spring or fall. It actually, some people don't like hearing this. The Village of Homewood, they got in over 300 trees. They weren't two-inch trees. Actually, the best trees that take, you know those little whip trees you can buy at like, they're about this big, they stick out of the ground? Fastest growing tree you can have. Because a 2-inch tree will take 4 years to grow, to establish, to start growing. So it's gonna sit there, and it's gonna grow, start growing, but it's not gonna start getting that coolness for 2 years. So a 4-inch tree takes 6 years, 6-inch, 8 years.
It's difficult to plant a 4-inch tree.
Right.
I did that one time.
But anyway, you know.
We should set a date for that pruning thing. I think that'd be nice
Okay, definitely,
in the fall,
yeah. Definitely will do it.
on a Saturday.
Yeah. Like the residents,
Get people in there.
definitely.
No, that'd be awesome. Anything else from Bob? Anything else from Board, Bob?
No.
I've got a question for Bob.
Sure.
About sidewalks. So we, as we're going through these sidewalks, we're looking at, some of the ones that are, a half inch or an inch or
Right.
something that supposedly you can grind those. Do you have any experience with that at all?
I've never
or-
ground. I guess really what we'd have to look at is, it's not a bad idea. What's the cost? What's the cost of grinding it to replacing it?
Yeah.
I mean, if they're close, you might as well just pull the slabs and put it in. That's just my opinion.
Kevin, you guys grind sidewalks and?
Yeah, we grind anything 2 inches and under, we grind. And we found that instead of spending $150,000 every year, we might be spending $50,000. We're cutting it way down. Bad part about grinding is once you grind it, you can't, there's no slab jacking, there's no nothing. It's removal after that once it goes bad.
We don't slap jack anyway, do we?
What's that?
We don't do that anyway, do we? Do you have your own machine?
For grinding? Yeah, I got 3 of them. They're just little things. Like a 5-horse bricks and
I
straps.
got a 4-foot wide sidewalk with a 3/4 inch lift. How long does it take to grind one of those?
20 minutes.
Because I was looking, I just was looking online, I called some guy, and I don't know, it seems like they cost like $4,000 or $5,000 for
No,
the,
ours were like $1,000.
that's not even that much.
And it's not hard to run either, Peter, because my college kids are the ones doing it.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, I think, I don't know, Bob, maybe investigate that and see, I mean, obviously, the first time we do it, it's gonna be, I mean, you could probably hire somebody full-time to do it for a year, it's just,
Yeah.
but, I don't know, I think it'd save a lot of money, and, like I said, just walking around town, there's just a lot of spots that it would be a lot safer to grind. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of areas that need replacement, and we need to concentrate on those, but, if we could, smooth off some of those other spots, I think it would be nice, so maybe you could see what you can find out.
Yeah, definitely. We'll do.
Well, thank you, Bob. Appreciate you coming.
Thanks for listening.
All right.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I mean, this is, like I said, this experience is new to me. I'm just getting my feet wet in this, but so far, I think it's excellent. So,
Do they offer advanced courses in this too for you?
what's that?
Do they offer advanced courses in this?
As long as I do this, it just keeps going. It's like water and sewer. They do a huge conference for all these guys. So I learned a lot from the guys that we went to class with. Just, what's different there to here, and, so.
We assume we passed.
Close.
And it's a tough test. I mean, it's
I was 4 points away. I needed a 74, I got a 70. So,
Next time.
and actually, that's in August, so I'm already signed up, and like I said, I'm not gonna give up on it. Something I wanted to do, so,
So I know something that Dr. March talked about was getting a Tree City designation.
Yes.
What's involved in that?
Okay, from what I learned on that is, you're gonna have a certain amount budgeted, you're gonna have a certain amount of removal, certain amount planting. You need to celebrate Arbor Day every year. That's pretty much,
You have to have an ordinance.
yes.
So there's 4 things. You have to have an ordinance, you have to have an arborist,
Yeah.
somebody designated, so we get that. You gotta spend a certain amount of money, which we spend way more on removal and all that. It's only like $2 per capita or something. I mean, it's not very much, but you have to have it in the budget every year. And then, 4th thing was celebrate Arbor Day. So it's, once we get the ordinance, we should be able to apply and get that.
How do you celebrate Arbor Day?
How do you?
Just plant a tree.
Plant a tree. We could
That's what it is.
or trees. The community could celebrate with us.
Yeah.
be good.
Yeah, so,
I mean, you could offer trees, you know, half price to people to plant in their yard or something, I don't know. Just a thought.
Definitely different ways to.
Yeah.
So you were talking about the small saplings or whatever,
Yeah.
a very good tree. I'm assuming the price of those goes way down?
oh yeah, those are about the cheapest tree you can buy. The only thing is, like I said, you gotta, they're sapling, but you gotta
Yeah.
protect it,
Well,
but
but is there,
they grow phenomenal.
is there any, what's the board think about buying a bunch of those for residents, to put in their own yard?
It's a matter of maintaining it once it's planted.
Yes. You know, just you get a homeowner, forgets it's there, they run over with the mower, and well, they run over the mower, it's done, you know.
I mean, it's something to think about.
Yeah.
It is. They did in the village of Homewood. Actually, the public works superintendent, he bought a bunch of these. The story is that the mayor seen them, and the mayor was, he come unglued on them. Like, what are these? He says, I guarantee you, these are gonna be the best trees you've ever planted. Well, 10 years later, the mayor's like, those are the best trees you've ever planted.
Okay, so it was
True story.
successful.
So, yeah, successful. Yeah.
If you did consider changing the caliber of the trees that are allowed by ordinance, don't forget that you're gonna have to change the ordinance to correspond to whatever it is you're gonna allow.
Right.
So I think right now it's 1.5 or 2.5?
I thought it was two.
2?
That's right.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All right, I need a motion to go into a closed session for the purpose to discuss the purchase or a lease of real property for the use of the public body, including meetings held, for the purpose of discussing whether a particular parcel should be acquired.
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Motion, and I want to invite Mr. Mark D. and Mr. Mark C. Mathewson to that closed session, please. Okay, motion by trustee Jones, trustee Hack, seconded by trustee Jones.
Mr. Hack?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. March?
Yes.
Mr. Hupkey?
Yes.
Mr. Ham?
Yes.
And Mr. Bell?
Yes.
We'll go upstairs.
No.